We can see you. Okay.
Yay! Oh, this
Awesome.
is exciting.
This is so exciting. And you were like following along. So you're just going to pick right up and run with us because you know exactly where we were too. So we can see you. I'm looking at the Facebook group right now. I can see you. So that, yay, no technical issues on our transfer.
Well, I'm going to sign out and then I'll join you guys in the group. So
awesome. Thank
bye.
you.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Trina.
Bye.
I love it. Awesome. Well, welcome, Christy. I'm excited now to move on. Like I said, we're going to talk about chocolate. So this is Christy. She has a shop called The Love and Chocolate Shop. She just started her website, which I'm really, really excited to share with you. Her shop is in Walnut Creek, California, which is by San Francisco, right?
That's right. Yep,
Yeah.
just east of San Francisco.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to going to your shop one day. That's for sure. But I have been lucky enough to get a little gift in the mail of your chocolate, and we enjoyed it. I think my daughter wanted all of them, but I got a couple of them, so I was very excited to actually be able to get a couple of them. So this is Christy. She is going to talk to us about her journey now, growing a business, very different than Treva, right? Treva's website design. We're now moving into like a physical product and a physical shop, right? So this is really exciting. And Christy has had some really big wins over the last month, even though this last 2 weeks that she's going to share with us. And so I'm really, really excited. So Christy, tell us about the fears that you had when you were starting your business.
Okay. So I was very similar to Treva. I was in corporate for a long time, like probably almost 30 years. I did corporate work. I was a corporate marketing person, and I kind of worked my way up to the top of the company I was at, and was the CMO for, 10 years. And it was a great job and I loved it. And then I got to the point where I needed a change. I had been doing it too long and I just wanted to push myself to do something different. So my biggest fear really was all about finances, because I was making a really great salary. I had a really great benefits. I was the sole income for my family. My husband, who's amazing and wonderful, was a stay-at-home dad and took care of our 2 young daughters the time I was doing my career, and so for me to quit meant we actually had 0 income coming in to the family. So that was probably the biggest challenge for me, was trying to get comfortable with the fact that we weren't going to have, how are we going to pay the bills, and whatever I did next, it really needed to fund our family. So that's probably the biggest thing. And I think also what I realized once I did quit, I realized that I had a big identity. My identity was very wrapped up in my big power job that I had, and like leaving that, I did get a lot of feedback from my family where they thought I was pretty crazy. And a lot of my friends thought I was really crazy because I had a really sweet job. And so that was, I think the biggest thing was kind of trying to just be confident in this thing inside of me that was saying, you can't do this for the rest of your life. You're going to regret it at the end of your life if you don't try something new and different and just push yourself, because I was very comfortable doing what I was doing. So those were my biggest challenges, I think, just deciding it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. And it's the same thing we were talking about too, with just the mindset. And then staying comfortable, because it is uncomfortable to like push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Sure.
Especially when it's good. It's funny to think about, because I think for a lot of people, you don't really like what you're doing. And that's what makes you realize you need to do something different. And for me, the thing that was pushing me to do something different, I had a lot of positive things. And so I didn't really have a negative thing pushing me. It was more just this internal voice that was like, you just got to try something new. It's just like you're too comfortable. Right. So it was this more gnawing voice in my head that wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah. And then when you decided to start the business, what kind of challenges then did you have? Because I'm sure you had you had a lot of different kind of challenges of actually having the shop.
Yes. Yeah. That's a whole different thing, right? You know, and it's been really fun actually I was at a very strategic level in the marketing and in the business world. I was at, you know, like running a larger business, much larger business. And so it's really fun to then take all of that kind of big business knowledge and apply it to it's a very small business right now, which I'm hoping it's going to get a lot bigger, but right now it's very small. So, you know, one of the things that's been an interesting challenge is my husband and I are working together in the business. And so I know you have that similar issue, and it's just interesting, right? It's a different thing when you're working with your partner and you're trying to figure out your roles and that sort of thing. And so I think we figured out really quickly that it's important to clarify, like, who's responsible for what, you know? So that was one of the challenges. And then just, you know, it's just a lot. You're responsible for everything, right? You know, so, you know, in my former life, I did marketing, and that's what I did. And it was pretty compartmentalized. And in this case, you know, we're dealing with inventory and trying out new products and figuring out the marketing plan and, you know, dealing with customer service issues and dealing with, you know, we have a couple of employees. And so, you know, it's the whole business, but so there's a lot of challenges about that, but I love that. You know, I love that we kind of have the end to end and we're responsible for everything, which is cool to be responsible for everything, and you're responsible for everything.
Exactly.
So,
I know, and I saw that I was looking at your website too, and you're shipping stuff too. And that's one thing that's always worried me too, of like actually shipping of the products and how much challenge that can be too.
And it's chocolate, so it's not like it's easy to ship it, right? I mean, there's a lot of extra challenges that it's a perishable item. And
exactly.
So, we got to figure out a lot of that stuff, which I, you know, had never dealt with before. So
we're
still figuring it out.
I'm sure. That's the key here though, is like, you don't have to have it perfect and down in the beginning. You can still learn as you go and figure things out, and figure out like how you can serve your customers and your clients better too. I'm sure that's something that you're always learning and improving as well.
Right. Yep. For sure.
So when did you learn about Corporate Recipe Plan and Meet Me? I'm totally curious.
So I just realized early this morning, it's my kid's last day of school today. And last year I quit my job. My last day of work was exactly a year ago today.
Awesome. That is a sign. That's totally cool.
Yeah. So I made that decision, and I took some time off where I didn't want to think about my next thing at all. We had saved some money. And so I had probably about 4 months where I just hung out with my kids and did stuff over the summer with my family and that sort of thing. And during that time, we were traveling quite a bit in California, and I was listening to a ton of podcasts. And so I heard a podcast of your, I feel like it wasn't even your podcast. It was another podcast that you were on, or I think that's what it was. It was podcast related. And I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like what I need for my next, you know, I knew that after about 4 months, I needed to sit down and start to figure out what I want to do in the future. And so as soon as I got back from that trip, I jumped on your website, and I think it didn't take me very long to join. I watched a webinar, and I joined pretty quickly because I just felt like the tools, you know, you were talking earlier about the importance of giving away free things. And I will tell you for sure, that was one of the things that made me decide this was a good program, because the quality of your materials is so good. And so, you know, you don't want to like pay for something and hope that it's good. Right. And so I got a number of your free, I mean, I think I downloaded everything that you sent, you know, I downloaded everything, and I was like, this is exactly what I need, you know? And so the fact that if you join, you know, you basically have access to all of that stuff whenever you need it was a big, kind of my selling point, where it's like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense.
Yeah. So. And that totally ties into the business plan, the promotion section that we were talking to, of like, like, where are people going to find out about you? Like figuring out where are people finding out about your shop, or figuring out where people find out about me. I love like learning that too, because then you can figure out, okay, what worked, and then you can do more of that too.
Right.
And then the free stuff is important because that's just how people develop trust with you, and that's how that's how they can find out you're a real person and you know what you're talking about and you have that experience. And there is a lot out there right now that is just, buy now. And I'm always giving, I just Facebook's messaged someone yesterday, just like, here's a link to the article, here's like free stuff. And I think that is important when you're starting, like, just like what we talked about, Triva, is because you learn so much.
Right.
Every question I get, even in Facebook Messenger, I'm learning what people know, what people need to know too. So
right.
that was a really good point for that you made there.
Yeah.
Now, free chocolate.
I was just going to say, it's not that dissimilar to just like you give out a sample of your chocolate, like they taste it. It's like, oh, this is good. I'm going to buy some, it's kind of basic marketing 101, so.
Exactly. And that brings them in to meet you and see that this is a family business and see that you're doing awesome stuff. And it totally works to develop that trust and get to know you as that family.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you learn then in the beginning? So you didn't have the shop going when you?
No, we didn't. No, we did not. We knew, I think my husband and I always had this little dream of having a little retail shop of some kind. And we had always thought it would be a retirement thing. And we don't have enough money to retire. So when I quit, we didn't have enough money to retire, but we were like, all right, well, maybe we do this now, maybe we can try and find something, and so the first thing I did in CRP is I worked on my vision state. I went through the visioning process, and then I worked on a 90-day plan, and I actually have kind of two different businesses going too. My very first effort was to think about what was I going to do personally. And so I actually have a whole business plan pulled together for marketing consulting, which is what I will probably do some of that in the future. But right now I'm like all focused on the shop. But we also knew that we wanted the shop. And so we started looking around to see what we could find. And we happened to find this little shop in Walnut Creek. And the woman who owned it before is retiring. And so it sort of just was the perfect timing, and we were ready to go. And so I did a lot of, I'm a huge planner anyway. I'm big on plans. And I think the best thing that I got out of all the different tools that you have was really kind of, Triva was talking about this too, just you got to execute. You can, I'm certainly one of those people, I can stay in the planning phase for a really long time if I'm not pushed a little bit. And so that was really good. That whole imperfect action and just get out there and do it. And, we probably didn't, I don't think you're ever going to feel 100% ready to do anything, whatever your next business is. And so I think my husband and I both were like, I don't know if we're ready. We're like, but we're doing it, you just got to take the risk and try it. So
exactly. So what actions did you start taking then?
So we just started shopping around for the business, and we went ahead and we decided to bought the business. I put a plan for the business together, right? A full business plan. So I used the business planning tools. And then we started just executing, the marketing plan. Like one of the very first things I did, I don't know if you want to talk about this now, but I did the Instagram training, because I knew that some of the stuff I can't remember if it was in materials or video that you talked about, how important it is to kind of pick a marketing channel and do it really well, just get your arms around it, because there's so many different choices and it definitely can be overwhelming. And, I know that just from being in marketing and having to manage so many channels in a large company. And so I liked that idea a lot, just picking one. And so I took that Instagram training, and, it's a good thing, I think, for local business marketing anyway. It's a good tool for that. And so I started doing Instagram, and kind of right from day one that we got the shop, I started doing Instagram, and really within just, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so, I was following all the lessons that you talked about of, like following people that had audiences that you were kind of interested in, and liking and leaving comments and things like that. And so I love Anthropologie. They're one of my favorite stores, and we have a really amazing Anthropologie store here in Walnut Creek. It's like one of their premier locations. And so I followed them, and I followed other people, and then, like they followed me back. And I was just kind of, I like kind of freaked out, when I saw Anthropologie San Francisco and Anthropologie Walnut Creek, like started following me, and I was like, oh my God. And my husband's so funny because he's not much of a marketing person, and he's not really sure like how it helps us and that kind of thing. Trust me, honey. So anyway, we're all like excited about that. And Pottery Barn follows us and that sort of thing. So, we're like, oh, that's cool. And then in a couple of weeks after that, Anthro Walnut Creek DM'd me and asked if we would like to participate in a pop-up shop in their store. Awesome. And so when I got that, I was like trying not to freak out. And I said, I'm going to really try not to use all caps when I respond. Like, yes, yeah. Like, of course we will. What do you mean? So that was really exciting. And that all totally happened from just pure Instagram. I mean, that would have never happened if I hadn't been doing that, and if I hadn't have done some of the things that you talked about in the training. So that was really cool. We just did it last weekend, was our pop-up shop, and it was very successful. I think one of the most successful things about it actually was that it gave me a very solid deadline to have to get things done. So the 3 weeks leading up to last Saturday were like crazy intense for me, because I had to get my brands done. I had to get my business cards done. I had to get my website done. That was the big thing. So really pushed hard to make all that stuff happen, because I'm like, I'm not going to stand up in Anthropologie and not have my website ready, So we launched our website. I launched the website at 11:57 on Friday night. I love it. And the pop-up shop was the next day.
I love it. Yeah. And there's nothing like that to get you moving in the right direction, making those commitments and reaching out to people. And I love that you focused in on your promotion plan too. And you had that one platform, and you have been posting every day. You've been participating in our Instagram pod.
That's been great.
So that's been a lot of fun. I've gotten to know a lot of members that way too, of the Instagram pods, and just supporting others, and then they're supporting you. And then, that engagement does increase. Maybe they're seeing more of your posts, because you're getting more of the comments and the likes and the engagement. And then they reach out to you and they DM you, and DM is like, that's a very new, big strategy too, of using that Instagram DM. And the fact that company or like big stores like that are using DM, that's something just to think about. If they're using that, should I be using that too? As far as marketing goes and Instagram goes. And and I love how you share kind of like your personal life a little bit too in your Instagram story.
Right. And that was
of yourself and your family. And
that was really, for me, one of my favorite things that I did. I mean, one of the things I love about CRP is just all of the challenges. And I mean, you have so much energy. I have no idea how you do it. Like, it's just like, it exhausts me to like watch all the stuff that you're doing. I'm like, how does she come up with this stuff all the time? And it's fun, it's fun to do some of the challenges. And one of the ones that you did, was My Startup Story challenge. And I loved that one. That was just like, that's such a cool thing. And even at that point, I hadn't even done my startup, right? But it was almost like a visioning thing for me to say, this is what I want my story to be, And so when we did that, it just, like, when I started doing the Instagram, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta tell that personal story, because that's what connects people. And then we built that into our website too, because I do think, my whole, it's cute. It's my whole little family. My two little teenage daughters are working in the shop, and
I love that.
it's just awesome, and people like that, because especially where we live, Walnut Creek is a very high-end shopping area for some crazy reason. I don't really know how that happened, but anyway, we have the premier Anthropologie store, and we have Neiman Marcus, and we have Tiffany's, and we have all these really big brand names. And then in this other part of town where our little shop is, we have all these little, like, just, very small independent businesses. And so I think there's almost, I don't want to say a backlash, but it's a little bit of a, people want that personal connection because you don't have that very much anymore. You don't usually go into a store and go, oh, I know these people, their kids go to school with my kids, and so that's, I think it's what I like. I like to do business that way. I've always kind of sought out independent, and so it's cool to be part of that community.
Yeah. And I love that, because I did that in November. So that was probably the start of everything for you, of creating your Instagram account and figuring out your business. And that was really just all, like, there wasn't even that much to it, but I'm just like asking questions, right? It's asking the right questions to get the right message out that you want to brand your business with. And it's stuff that you don't think about. You look at a website and you're like, how did they create that? But it's getting out, like, why your purpose. It's kind of like what we talked about in the first part of the business plan challenge of what is your purpose and why does that fit into this business, and what is your message and vision for your company too. And so it's fun. It's so fun to watch, like, the progress and see it all happen of, like, this whole last year. So it's just incredible, the journey that you've been on. And one of my best friends, her parents live in Walnut Creek, so I am going to get to your store someday.
Yay. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have the best hot chocolate in the world.
Ooh, awesome. I would love to come. It's on my list for sure.
Good.
How far was it from San Francisco?
It's about a 30-minute drive.
30 minutes. Okay. So not too far. So what do you think your life would be like right now if you had not, quit that job, made this commitment, joined CRP, moved forward with this, like, calling that you knew was there? I'd still be in my little safe job, and I'm really glad I'm not. I had that kind of epiphany to just realizing that it's been a year, and I'm really happy. And when I visit some people that I used to work with, they're just like, "Oh my God, you just like glowing," or whatever. It's the chocolate, no.
But it's also, I left too because I wanted to spend more time with my daughters. They're I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, and honestly, it's a time in their life that they need their mom more than ever, and I didn't get to spend time with them when they were, I didn't get to spend this kind of quality time with them when they were little, they're super lucky that they got to have so much time with their dad because he's awesome. But I feel like I for sure missed out on stuff because I was working a lot, and so that has been a big, big change. And so, the freedom to be able to spend time with them when they need me, and not just when I had time for them, which, I think that's one of the most, that flexibility that you talk about all the time. That's one of the most important things about being able to do something on your own, that, you can't control when your 13-year-old is having a meltdown, right? You can't say, well, could you just wait until I get home at 7 and then we can talk about it?
I had one with my 3-year-old like an hour before I went on it. So I get it.
They just get a little bigger and even more dramatic when they're 13.
More dramatic.
Awesome. But I do think, for sure, my relationship with my teenage daughter has gotten a lot better, just because I'm around and we can have these more spontaneous kind of conversations when she's ready to have those conversations, right? Instead of me like pushing it, like, okay, I'm home now. Let's have a meaningful conversation. Like it just doesn't work that way.
That's true.
So I would encourage as many people as possible to just, for that reason alone, to just have more flexibility for friends and family. I mean, I didn't have time for my friendships either. That's what I really feel, that has made a big difference in the last year, is that I get to spend time with the people I care about and actually have time with them. I mean, I think I always had friends, but I never got to see them hardly, that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's great.
It's so true of just staying present and focusing on building your business with your values and like your priorities first, right?
Yeah.
So even though like, you have the shop, like you're building it so that you can have that time with your children too. And I was like about to I'm not going to cry. I have 10 years before 13, but like, it's true. I'm so glad that I'm doing this now so I can be where you are when they're 13, and
yeah.
being able to be present and not being on that schedule of, okay, I got to go in 10 minutes. Let's talk about, what's going on in school or whatever like that too.
Yeah. Well, no, it's really inspiring to me to see that the other members in the group and you doing this when you're so young, I think it's awesome, because the sooner that you can figure out that you are in control of your life and, like what's the worst thing that could happen? I think for most people, you're not going to end up on the street homeless, right? Like you have skills, you have something, and it might be a different life than what you had before, but we're so afraid, and and in the end, you're like, what are we afraid of? Like, it just like, you're not gonna die, like it's okay. You should give it a shot. And then, if it doesn't work out, okay, but you tried. And I think in so many cases, we just don't give ourselves enough credit for what we can do. And, your family and your children are going to be so much happier and better off having you more present in their lives. So I just think it's so cool and so inspiring that you guys are doing it at such a young age. Luckily I had my kids when I was pretty old. So my kids are still relatively young, but I put in a solid career before I was like, well, that was a waste of time. It wasn't really a waste of time, but it was, I did miss a lot of my kids' younger days. And so that was really probably the driving thing for me. It's like, I only have a few years left with these kids, they get to spend some time with them. So.
And I love how you said, that's a big question. What is the worst that can happen? Like if I do this, not letting your fears get in the way, what is the worst possible thing? Because it's usually, like you said, not the end of the world. You're not going to end up homeless on the street. In my case, I was like, I'll just go get another job, like there are other options out there if the worst case happened too.
Right.
So I'm sure you already answered this, because I can't imagine you being any more proud of anything but what you just said. But like, what are you most proud of since you started on this journey?
Really it's just that goes back to that core thing, the thing I was the most afraid of probably, which is just that I did it, that I walked away from a lot of safety. I think that's the thing. I walked away from, for sure I could put my kids through college, and for sure, I had insurance, and for sure I had, there were a lot of like things which is why all my friends thought I was insane when I did it, because there were a lot of really good things happening in the life that I had. And I was still able to kind of go, it's great, but it's not feeling right to me. And so that I was able to kind of listen to that, whatever that inner voice is that said, you need to do something different. So I think just finally getting to that decision point, and then, for sure to be now a year later, knowing how scared I was, completely just petrified really to make the decision. And, I postponed the decision for a really long time, I think, because I was so afraid of it, that it wasn't going to work out. And then to be here a year from now, kind of looking back at that last year going, wow, what could have been? Everything has gone great. I just we have this great little shop, and it's doing well, and, we need to start making money now, but we're ready, we're like all set up. And, the last 90 days have been really, really intense, but really, we're really ready to go now. And
love that. Well, I can't wait to watch this now and to see it grow even further too. And you're moving through the phases, the corporate rescue plan phases, and then moving to that next level and going down that path too. So I am super proud of you. So excited. Where can people find your chocolate?
Okay. So you can come visit us in Walnut Creek, California, anytime you like. We'd love to see you in the shop, but the best and easiest way right now is to go to our website, which we just launched, like I said last week.
Yeah.
And so the name of our chocolate shop is Love and Chocolate. So that's, what could be better than that? So
Love and Chocolate Shop.
Love and Chocolate. Yeah. So it's www.loveandchocolateshop.com.
And if anyone is listening right now, could you do me a favor and type that below in the comments, www.loveandchocolateshop.com, and they ship. So just throwing that out there.
And we also, like we put, we have these little ice packs and all that stuff to keep it nice and fresh so that when it gets to you, it should be ready to eat.
I love that. I was ready to eat when I got it. I think my husband was upset because we didn't save him any, but that's okay. He wasn't there. Okay. So that was you. D says, once the baby is out, I am joining back in CRP. D, we miss you, but take care of yourself and the little baby. Are you having a boy or girl? I can't remember, D. Ella put a little sign of chocolate, so that's awesome. Tyra said, biggest Kristy fan. Yes, you and Tyra are good friends. That's where I got your chocolate. So thank you to Tyra, because we're all a big circle here, right? Like supporting each other. I love that. Is Tyra in Walnut Creek too?
It's Tira, actually. Tira, and she lives up in Sacramento, so not far.
Okay, not far. Okay. Well, thank you for correcting me. Now I know. Please, if I ever say your name, and you too, you're Kristy or Kristin, because
it just gets shortened. So Kristy. Now, when we're friends, it's Kristy. So it's Kristy.
Awesome. Now I know. Thank you. Jolene says, congrats. Jolene is also a CRP member. Corianne says CRP is amazing. Okay, this wasn't supposed to be a CRP thing. I'm just sharing your guys' stories.
CRP is amazing.
Awesome. Okay, so Courtney, thank you. Shout out to Courtney because she put your link below so you can go look at all the yummy, yummy chocolate. So thank you so much, Kristy, for joining us today, for sharing your story. I think it's inspiring to me, and it's inspiring to a lot of other people too. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Good to see all you guys.
So this is our last interview for the day. We are going to have more coming up over the next week. So definitely stay tuned, and you're in the Facebook group. There's a lot of great stuff going on, but more inspiring case studies and success stories are coming your way. If you missed it, the replay will be right up too, so you can watch it. But then our Freedom Workshop starts on Monday. And so you definitely want to get signed up to be able to watch the workshop videos. There's going to be videos coming out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then we have some workbooks. And see, I'm doing what you said, giving the free stuff away. So go get all the free stuff and definitely enjoy it. You can sign up at www.corporaterescueplan.com/freedom. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys. Thank you everyone who commented and joined us. I'll be checking the comments afterward too. So if you're watching the recording later on, I will see you in the comments. So bye everyone. See you later.
Bye.